Hey, my name is Nikhil. I'm the CTO at Archera. We're a cloud cost optimization and cloud cost management platform, and we primarily help customers save money through the use of our term commitments that basically help customers get the same kind of savings they would see with a 1 or 3 year commitment, but without the lock-in of those commitments, now without the risk of those long commitments. And we do that through our short insured commitments that we call guaranteed reserved instances and guaranteed savings plans. Yeah, so there's been a lot of tailwinds in the last year. The growth of sort of Gen AI and the increasing demand for compute has definitely been a big driver in more and more customers spending more money on the cloud, on compute services, and and just as a result of that, you see a lot of those folks trying to get savings on those workloads. In particular, a lot of these kind of GPU training workloads and a lot of the activities around that, they're not necessarily easy to predict or easy to commit to on a long basis. I'm not going to commit to a GPU that I'm just using to train a model for a 3 time frame. And so there's a lot of demand for our short commitments for those types of workloads. So there's been a lot of tailwinds this last year. And that's sort of on top of the fact that they're just a constant stream of just regular companies who might not even be AI companies, but who meet these same challenges where there's uncertainty in their engineering roadmap or just the inability to commit for a long period of time for certain workloads that we kind of help them deal with that problem. Yeah, a couple of things. So I think for one, depending on exactly what your business model is and sort of what industry you're in, you might be feeling kind of the pull of the higher interest rates, which make it so it's a little bit harder to spend a lot of money now. You need to be a little bit more cost conscious. There are obviously some folks who that doesn't necessarily apply to, but there's an increasing number of companies, even earlier stage startups, where now runway is a huge deal for them. Being able to have predictable costs is a big deal for them, and so that's just made being cost conscious and finding actual actionable ways to save money it's just become a much more important pressing issues. On top of that, with the growth of sort of Gen AI companies and big companies that end up being big GPU users, often what you see is for them, their biggest line item, even more so than the headcount, is actually the compute. So that's another case where just FinOps ends up taking center stage for these folks as their main lever to actually increase their runway, decrease their cost of running the business. Yeah, so we really help with customers kind of reduce vendor lock-in and also just more generally kind of hedge engineering risk through the use of these short commitments, these short insured commitments that I was talking about. So if you make a big commitment to a cloud provider for a 1 or 3 year term, you're basically going to be locked in the sense that it now costs you money to move elsewhere. But if you instead actually get a short-term insured commitment, something where if after a month or after a couple of months it's no longer being utilized, you have the ability to then be able to be flexible when it comes to moving those workloads to different machines, different architectures, or even to different cloud providers. So really it's a way to what we really offer is a way to hedge the risks of those sorts of migrations, and make sure that you're insured so that if you end up moving away from one cloud provider going to another or just moving to a different type of architecture, you don't have that underutilization cost. That's now insured, and we're guaranteeing that you won't be on the hook for paying that. Mhm. Yeah, so just working with partners and resellers, such as resellers or MSPs, has really been a core part of our entire market strategy. Often, these folks are already engaged with customers, and basically building trust with these folks and being able to co with them is a way more efficient way to gain customer trust and also be able to get in these accounts in a way that's sort of beneficial to all parties, ourselves, the customer, and these resellers. So it's been a really core part of our business and our entire strategy. So and it's only kind of getting more important as we go forward, as we engage more and more resellers and MSPs, and as more folks kind of realize the value of what we can offer both to the partners and obviously to the end customers and helping them reduce the risk of their commitments. Yeah, so I think one of the main benefits is it's way easier to land customers in a bottom fashion where it's a lot easier for someone within the organization to go in, see our free product on the AWS marketplace, and be able to go through the sign up and install process to get an idea of, hey, what sort of savings I'm actually going to be able to get using this. That makes it so it's a lot easier to get to the point in sort of a POC type process where customers actually seeing the value, seeing what kind of value that can be provided. And the marketplace helps facilitate that just because, it's right there in your AWS console. It's something that can be done by anyone sort of with the AWS access, with depending on sort of the org's entire provisioning setup. So it ends up being a lot more low friction, sort of on everyone's end to be able to get into those sort of accounts. So Labra's been great in a couple of ways. First of all, just with our direct customers, Labra's really made it easy to streamline our entire offer process, both for sort of folks going through our public listing and folks going through our private offers. In addition, Labra's made it really easy to co with other resellers, because it makes it so we can leverage existing AWS marketplace mechanisms like a CPPO in order to make sure that our partners are getting rev share on the sort of contracts that they're helping us get into. And Labra itself has pushed a lot of features to kind of make our lives easier and reduce friction for our customers when it comes to going through this marketplace journey. A point of friction we used to have before Labra is when a customer actually accepts an offer from us on the AWS marketplace or subscribes to us on the AWS marketplace, we often have to go through a bit of a registration where we need to register this customer on the marketplace. And what we saw in a lot of other solutions was that that would actually send the customer to sort of an intermediate page, usually, the page for that marketplace provider in particular. They would need to sign up on that page, register with that marketplace provider, and after that, they would actually get sent to our site where they would actually need to register to create an account. So this ended up being a kind of confusing, high friction process for a lot of customers where they're wondering, hey, why do we need to register twice? This is like just making them fill out a bunch of forms with often duplicate information. And Labra made it so we were able to instead actually really easily customize that customer onboarding experience so that rather than having to go through multiple hoops and jump through all these different registration flows, we were able to streamline it through a Labra integration to make it so we were able to just send them through our native form, post up that information in Labra, and make it so all of the work was offloaded from the customer onto Labra, which just made it a much easier process for all of our end customers and reduced customer fall off significantly from actually accepting the marketplace offer in their AWS console to going through and registering on our site. Labra's been an awesome partner to work with. I often compare them to Stripe in the sense that both end up being sort of the source of truth for various forms of my kind of billing of customers. And both have the same benefits in that there's awesome customer success, awesome integrations for me to work with. So I really look forward to using sort of any new features that Labra comes out with as we expand beyond AWS and Azure into other clouds like GCP. We also look forward to using Labra on those sorts of marketplaces as well. So being able to expand alongside Labra onto those other clouds is also another thing I kind of look forward to.